What's going on, guys? It's your boy MBeezy, and I'm gonna walk you through how I mix vocals in FL Studio. Yeah, we're just gonna get right into it. This is what I've got right here.
Hold it down and run it up, I'm a fucking boss. All I do is win, I don't never take a loss. Got my head up in the clouds, I'm getting lost. Running up the tab, I ain't tripping about the cost. Throw a couple bands, this ain't new to us.
Alright, so that's where we're gonna end up. I'm gonna start from complete scratch and just show you guys how I did it from the top. Here is our dry vocal.
Hold it down and run it up, I'm a fucking boss. All I do is win, I don't never take a loss.
Yeah, a lot different than where we were. So I'm gonna show you guys how to get back to that, and hopefully as quick as possible. So I know everyone wants the secret sauce with just stock plugins, but the fact of the matter is you're just not gonna get it, right? You're gonna need a decent auto tuner, and everyone's like, oh my god, auto tune, it costs like $500. Go to eBay and get AutoTune Evo VST. It's a 2011 auto tune. It's $20. It's not bad at all, and this is just something you're gonna need in order to, get that mainstream modern sound. So my key for this song is F sharp minor. I'm going to go all the way fast with that retune speed, and I'm going to ignore vibrato. I always do that. I don't ever use the vibrato. So there it is, dry. Let's see how it sounds.
Hold it down and run it up, I'm a fucking boss. All I do is win, I don't never.
So for my vocals in particular, I like to increase the pitch with the throat length just a little bit. So maybe 98, and then we'll see how that sounds.
Down and run it up, I'm a fucking boss. All I do is win, I don't never take a loss.
Yeah, so and your vocals might be different. You might want to go lower with the throat length, or you might want to go higher. It's up to you, but that's something you're going to want to play with. Next, I'm going to add some EQ. Fruity Panoramic EQ is probably the best EQ I've ever used. It's going to be able to do everything you want to do. So I just put that boy on there. Alright, so the first thing I do with my EQ is I'm going to put a high-end step on it. So I right-click, go to Order, Steep 8, come up. I probably bring that back to about +6. We'll see how that sounds.
Got my head up in the clouds, I'm getting lost. Running up the tab, I ain't tripping about the cost.
So that's pretty good. It just adds a little bit more high-end to it, make it sound more alive. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to Steep 8 again on the very bottom, and I'm going to go to High Pass. I don't know why they call it High Pass when it's on the low end, but it's just backwards. So High Pass, and it basically just cuts off the edges there. And now we're going to basically just inch it in as we play the track.
Boss, all I do is win, I don't never take a loss. Got my head up in the clouds, I'm getting lost. Running up the tab, I ain't tripping about the cost.
And that just gets rid of that muddy low end that you don't really want in your vocals. And next, I'm going to put a little step here. If you press Control and scroll on your mouse, you can change the depth of whatever one you're working with. So I'm going to move that down a bit.
Throw a couple bands, this ain't new to us. Whole team got it from the bottom, now we moving up.
So that's good. And now what we're going to do is a surgical reductive EQ. And what I mean by surgical is I'm going to press Control, scroll all the way down so it's nice and sharp, and I'm just going to find frequencies I don't like, and I'm going to pull them down, and I'll show you what that looks like.
Hold it down and run it up, I'm a fucking boss. All I do is win, I don't never take a loss.
So that frequency right there is kind of sharp, and it's, gets in your ear, so I'm just going to pull that down a little bit. And basically I'm going to go through and do that, and you'll probably get 2 or 3 of them total that you don't like, maybe more depending on your vocal.
Throw a couple bands, this ain't new to us. Whole team got it from the bottom, now we moving up. I don't really care about your feelings, yeah, we rude as fuck. All these bitches hitting.
And you're going to want to pull them down to like -6, and it might be more or less depending on the vocal. Every vocal is going to be different, so don't just use this as the fix-all for every single vocal. Spend some time and use your ear, and eventually you'll get better at it too. So that's my EQ for start. Let's get into a de-esser. So FL Studio stock plugins do not come with a de-esser. I mean, you could use Maximus and there's a de-ess setting on it, but it just doesn't sound that good. It just compresses that high end too much. So this right here is Sibilance Mono by Waves. I want to say it was like, it might have been 30 or 40 bucks. Look for sales. They're always doing sales on waves.com, but this is the best de-esser I've ever worked with, and I'm going to show you how to use it right here. So you press play.
Tripping about the cost. Throw a couple bands, this ain't new to us. Whole team got it from the bottom, now we moving up.
You're just going to bring that threshold down until it's pinching those S's. And then you go up on the detection a little bit, at least I do, and I'll widen it out just a little bit. And you can monitor those by itself to see what you're doing. And it basically just shows you the S's that you're compressing. All right, so the next plugin we're going to use is a limiter, and we're just going to try to level out the volume of your vocals.
In the clouds, I'm getting lost.
You see how peaky it is?
I ain't tripping about the cost.
So you can see it's pretty peaky, and I'm just going to reduce those peaks by lowering my ceiling.
Throw a couple bands, this ain't new to us. Whole team got it from the bottom, now we moving up.
And then you're going to want to make that attack pretty fast. I wouldn't crunch it all the way, but I would get it, somewhere right around there. And then the release, you're going to end up somewhere right around there. And honestly, you could just tune in, go up and down, see what sounds good to you. But this is where I end up for my limiter. So next, I am going to add a compressor. And I do not like stock compressors on FL Studio. I think they're kind of garbage. So I went again to Waves, and I got the CLA 2A mono. And this thing is the secret sauce, man. It just adds some glow to your vocals, and I'm about to show you what that is. I want to adjust my peak reduction until I'm hitting about -5 to -7 dB. And I'll show you what that sounds like.
I ain't tripping about the cost. Throw a couple bands, this ain't new to us. Whole team got it from the bottom, now we moving up.
And you can already see it just sounds so much fuller. It's got a little bit of a glow to it. It's nice. So, and then I'm going to add some gain back that I just reduced. And I'm going to probably end up around 44.6 or 45. It's up to you. I mean, it's going to be different for you too.
Hold it down and run it up. I'm a fucking boss. All I do is win. I don't never take a loss.
And now you can start to see that it's sounding more and more professional every plugin we add. So the next plugin I'm going to add is a mastering plugin. It's a sound goodizer. And I don't really like one knobs too much because it's hard to really know exactly what they're doing. But this thing, if I put it on B and I put it to right there, it just, adds more fullness to it and adds more glow to it as well. And I'll show you what that sounds like.
Got my head up in the clouds, I'm getting lost. Running up the tab, I ain't tripping about the cost. Throw a couple bands, this ain't new to us. Whole team got it from the bottom, now we moving up.
Okay, so, as you can see, I just added some more glow to it. And this thing's going to be glowing by the time we're done. I'm going to add another EQ after the sound goodizer, and what I'm going to do with this EQ is I'm going to do more surgical peak reduction. So I'm just working some peaks down that I don't like. You just skinny up your frequency range, and you just go up and you do a frequency sweep until you find some frequencies that are just too sharp to the ear, and then you pull them down to around -6 dB. And that's exactly what I'm doing here.
Running up the tab, I ain't tripping about the cost.
So this is where I ended up, and what I'm going to do now is just add a teeny bit more to the high end, just to add kind of like a glow, a whisper to the voice. And, that's what a lot of these mainstream artists are doing. They're just going to overload that high end.
Hold it down and run it up, I'm a fucking boss. All I do is win, I don't never take a loss.
So that's where I'm ending up right now. It's sounding pretty good. And now we're going to bring the whole thing together with a master comp. So what you're going to do here is you're going to open a new channel, put another compressor on it, and then you're going to route your vocal to that channel. And that's just going to bring it forward in the mix. It's not necessarily supposed to make it too much louder, but there's a big difference between making a vocal louder and bringing it forward in the mix. And that's what we're doing right here.
Run it up, I'm a fucking boss. All I do is win, I don't never take a loss.
And I already have my faders where I like them, but where you're at originally, you're going to have to go up and down. So if this was all the way up and this was all the way up, it's going to blast you. I apologize in advance.
Got my head up in the cloud.
Right? So what I do here
as I'm getting lost,
is I'm going to bring that down
I ain't tripping about the cost
until it's not so much in your ear.
To
and then we're going to bring this one down as well. And, you're going to do that more once you got the beat playing and you're in the mix, right? You're going to go up and down with your faders and make sure everything sounds at a level that's good with the beat. All right, so the last thing I'm going to do to this vocal is I'm going to add some reverb to it. And what I do is I open up an auxiliary channel. I put some reverb in it. I use another Waves reverb. Fruity reverb is okay, and you might be able to make that work, but this is a lot better. Waves just makes some really good plugins that the stock plugins at FL just can't compete with. So I do recommend, I think all the plugins I've showed you today, it might end up being like $100. So it's not bad. I do recommend getting all of them if you're really serious about your music here. All right, so using this reverb, we're going to bring it to this channel. It'll automatically put it at 100%, and we'll see what that sounds like.
Run it up, I'm a fucking boss.
See, that's pretty good already because I had my fader set, right? So there's that, and what you want to do is you want to adjust your time and pre-delay. These are the only two things I really mess with. I did take a little bit of low end out of it, but the high end, that's already default. So I guess if you're doing a fruity reverb, you could just add a EQ underneath of your reverb and your channel, so that way you can do this to it. But this one already has a built-in. It's super nice. And then basically I just press play and I adjust these.
Run it up, I'm a fucking boss. All I do is win, I don't never take a loss. Got my head up in the clouds, I'm getting lost. Running up the tab, I ain't tripping about the cost.
So you don't want it too long of a time, or else it just interferes with the next vocal. So basically you want to choose a spot that has like a little pause at the end of it, and you want to see how that reverb dissipates. And then you want to find a time where it's dissipating in the correct spaces, so you can hear right here at the end.
Tab, I ain't tripping about the cost.
That after cost, you want to see that ramp down at a good speed, and I think it is right there. So that's where I'm going to leave it. All right, so this is my vocal chain. Another thing that you may want to do if it sounds like the beat is overpowering your vocal, you may want to come down here and add some gain. I do the stereo shaper, but this is a maybe, right? This is not going to be the same, and you want to make sure that in the top left, you're going to end up at the same, like 14.8 dB. It ends up here. You can watch it. So I bring that up to 14 to 12 dB on the edges there, just to kind of add more gain to the vocal if the beat is overpowering it. So let's play this with the beat, and we can then do some more adjustment to our faders.
Run it up, I'm a fucking boss. All I do is win, I don't never take a loss. Got my head up in the clouds, I'm getting lost. Running up the tab, I ain't tripping about the cost. Throw a couple bands, this ain't new to us. Whole team got it from the bottom, now we moving up. I don't really care about your feelings, yeah, we rude as fuck.
I think that sounds pretty good. I already did have my faders at a pretty, the level I wanted. So you're going to spend a lot more time playing the beat with the vocals, adjusting your faders, bringing it forward and backward, right? Because forward and backward is different than just making it louder, right? So it adds another dynamic to it. And then you're going to want to adjust your reverb as well. I kind of already had it where I liked it, so you're going to want to spend more time doing that. So yeah, that is how I mix vocals in FL Studio. Yeah, so let me know in the comments if you want me to go into more videos on how I did these dubs, and we can really just break everything down. I didn't want to do the whole thing in one video because that would just be like a 2-hour video. But let me know in the comments, and yeah, thank you for watching.
Running up the tab, I ain't tripping about the cost. Throw a couple bands, this ain't new to us. Whole team got it from the bottom, now we moving up. I don't really care about your